Hello, I'm Captain Gamer, and it is a cold January 9th, 2014 morning. My horoscope says, speak your mind and you will get ahead, so let's get to it. Got a fresh cup of mint chocolate, hot chocolate, so let's get to it. Uh, when it comes to my horoscope, I really don't believe that it's any sort of clairvoyant predictor of the future. It's more like a quote of the week sort of thing. It's fun to read. If it coincides with anything going on in my life, great. If not, well, it's just a horoscope, just like just like I did right here. And I was about to call this a frosty morning, but I live on the west coast of the United States, so there's a lot frostier out there. I mean, in Canada, wasn't it colder than Mars on the 1st of January? That is crazy. Such good hot chocolate. Alright, and I know about all the cold that's going around because I go on websites like Tumblr and Imgur. I just love those websites because all the people who use that website, they endearingly overreact to everything. You would believe that people on Tumblr have never experienced cold weather before, or the holiday season before. Oh my goodness. I started seriously using Tumblr at about October of this year, and let me tell you, I have heard the song Spooky Scary Skeletons more times during this holiday season than any other song in my entire life. Bohe- a close second to Bohemian Rhapsody, because when I was in college, I listened to that song a ton. I love me some Queen. Maybe I'll talk about that more another time. So, last time on this cast, in my files, I call my audio files the Capcast, but I don't really know what I'm going to call this show, if anything. Last time, I said my first topic was going to be something that is not video games, and indeed it's not. It will be Disney's recent movie, Frozen, because when I saw that movie, I came out of it absolutely raving to my brother, saying, I have to talk about this, and for one reason or another, I ended up not doing it, so I have set my intentions, I've hit the record button, I've already started this cast, let's get to it. So, like I said before, I love Frozen, and I am under the impression that it probably is the best Disney movie to come out, I don't know, in a very, very long time. At least from the standpoint that Disney has finally evolved their storytelling style. And what I mean by this is that I can tell that Disney has been trying, as of late, to sort of push the boundaries of what they can do with the Disney formula of storytelling. Because when Pixar burst onto the scene, they just flipped everything upside down with what you can do with a story, with an animated story. And everyone has been trying to do that. DreamWorks tried it, and they went into the whole pop culture reference route, and they had their niche until How to Train Your Dragon, and now that has become their crown jewel. So now Disney has been trying to find their How to Train Your Dragon, and they almost did that with the movie Brave. And they advertised the movie Brave as some great epic story that's way beside the Disney formula, but in the end it turned into a really harmless movie. It got itself a lot of flack for having that deceptive advertising, but time has passed and people can appreciate that movie for what it is. In that sense, you can imagine that Frozen is the reverse Brave, because you look at it, You see the story of the wicked sister and the good sister who goes after her, has several love interests, one of them being Prince Charming, and there's a little snowman mascot, and you're thinking, okay, I think I know what to expect. I'm here to tell you, you do not know what to expect from this movie. In fact, I think the people who designed this script took into account very directly playing with your expectations. And to start with, I'm just going to hit the one thing that people are probably fearing the most going into this. That snowman mascot. His name is Olaf, and he is awesome. You see, Olaf comes into the movie because he was originally created by Elsa, the older sister in the movie. And my goodness, okay, let me back up here a little bit. The story revolves around Anna and Elsa. Elsa is the older sister who has all the frost powers. She's just born with those powers. She wasn't cursed or anything. She was just born with them, and that already is kind of deviating from the Disney formula. Elsa is how she is, and nothing happened to her, and nobody should judge her. There was no conscious effort that went into her having her powers. But unfortunately, she and her parents anticipated that people were not going to be so welcoming just because of human nature. They're going to say, oh, she's a witch, so that's how that is. So I'll get into that later, because we already know what the previews go into it. So, back to Olaf, the snowman character. He is awesome, because he comes into the movie, he was created by Elsa, incidentally, and he comes in and at first, he's kind of the typical naive, really happy character, but this entire time, whenever Olaf is on screen, you're just clenching your teeth, going, okay, when is he going to annoy me? I am prepared for the annoyance. And it never really comes. Which is interesting, because he is part of the plot somewhat. He just inserts himself in there and helps out. He's very helpful, very kind, and every time he's on screen, he's an absolute delight. And in that sense, Olaf is kind of a pleasant surprise throughout this movie. In fact, his plot thread is he has daydreams about experiencing summer. So we can expect that he'll eventually encounter warmth and have his little heart broken, or he'll be completely oblivious the entire time. And no, that does not happen. He very realistically adjusts his perceptions of warmth based on what happens to him. In fact, there was this one moment during a song. Yes, he has a song number about how much he wants to experience warmth in the summer, and he makes a lyric that rhymes with puddle, and then he stares at a puddle, and he's like, I'll be happy as, or some lyric like that. He stares at the puddle, his face drops in a very real way, then he skips around the puddle and says, snowman, and that was just... That was really great. That was a very cleverly written song. I thought it was going to be a wasted part of the movie, but it was not. Very, very pleasantly surprised. And just in general, because my favorite character type in any story is the wise fool character. The wise fool character is not directly related to the events of the story, but they help out anyway because of their concern and their friendship with the main character. So everything that the wise fool does is an act of altruism, and I call them the wise fool, harkening back to my days of studying Shakespeare in college. I graduated from college in 2009, by the way. My, how time flies. I guess the only other characters who would be seen as annoying in this movie are the trolls, the quote unquote family who raised Kristoff, who is the blonde love interest from the trailers, and they see Kristoff with Anna, the princess character, and they launch into a song about how Kristoff is imperfect and how he's a fixer-upper. And I have to admit, that was like the low point of the movie, but because it was the low point of the movie, does not mean it wasn't pleasant, because I really liked it, but I could just tell that if I were a lesser person, I would just be going, ugh, and rolling my eyes, but I didn't. And there was one moment during that song where one of the trolls sings a few lines to Anna, and I thought to myself, that is going to be a plot point later in the movie. This song sequence is not a wasted moment. I swear to you, it is not a wasted moment. So even then, my plot prediction senses were going off, so I was still having a time of my life, even during this. So, speaking of Anna, man, so we have, how do I approach this? Every premise in a Disney movie is played with in Frozen, including the concept of the perfect person princess archetype. You know, early on in the Disney movies, you had characters like Snow White, who all the animals loved, and everyone was naturally attracted to her because she was so kind and beautiful. And they never really demonstrated this very well, because everyone was nice to Snow White, and she reacted by being nice in turn. We never really saw Snow White do anything all on her own without any sort of provocation that told us, oh yeah, I can get behind her being a paragon of purity. And there's nothing wrong with that. Once again, the movie just starts and goes with that. In Frozen, observing Anna, I actually saw her demonstrate her sort of quote-unquote perfection, and because I say quote-unquote perfection, that is another great thing, is that Anna's quote-unquote perfection is, it's not something tangible. It's something that you can actually see for yourself, because as far as I can tell, Anna does not have a judgmental bone in her body. When she sees something for the first time, she expects the best in anything or anyone. And that makes Anna such a delight of a character. Excuse me, I gotta make sure I have really taken my swig of this hot chocolate. Oh, what was I talking about? Anna. Yes, Anna. Anna just... She expects the best out of everything, and that makes her a delight of a character to observe. The only exception being when she meets Kristoff, and you could see from the trailers that she has a sort of love-hate relationship with Kristoff, but you could tell that if ever she's given a reason to engage pleasantly with Kristoff, she will take it and run with it. In fact, the only reason she's ever unpleasant with Kristoff is to sort of speak his language and being surly and asserting dominance. It really is adorable. So, yeah, because Anna just is absolutely wonderful to everything, I just thought to myself, you know, I would like to be friends with her. I want to see her get everything she aspires towards. Case in point, her sister Elsa, and Elsa is probably one of the breakout parts of the movie, because as we all know from the story, Elsa has these powers. She loses control of those powers, because a little bit more backdrop. Elsa and Anna are princesses, and during a point of the movie, Elsa has to inherit the throne, and during her coronation, Elsa's powers, she loses control of them, gets the typical, she's evil, she wants to take us all over, and Elsa, just because she has lost control of her powers and she doesn't trust herself, that's the thing, is that the biggest thing that Elsa fears is she doesn't trust herself around other people. It's not she's being hunted, it's she doesn't want to be around anybody to hurt anybody else, so she runs away. And after that happens, Anna's only thoughts are, oh my gosh, I have to go after Elsa and talk her down from this. I'm so worried about my sister. It's not out of any sense of obligation, other than the obligation of being a loving sister. And even though Elsa leaves a sort of snowstorm in her wake, Anna's first thoughts are reconciling with her sister. And that sort of leads me into my next point of Elsa. Well, I think I've already said everything about Elsa without going into spoiler territory. And believe me, I will go into spoilers, and once you know everything about this movie, it will make it all the more glorious. Let's see. So, the movie, in general, just does not insult the audience's intelligence at all. I mean, now that I think about it, there are no dumb or wasted characters in this movie. Every character has some sort of sense of purpose or competence. I mean, one of the neighboring monarchs has two henchmen, and you'd say, oh, this is their opportunity to create these sort of dumbbell characters. But no, these two henchmen carry out their duties, very, very stoically, and with just very competently. I think that's one thing about this movie that really gets to me, that really resonates with me as a self-professed writer, or just as a writer, is that the movie is scripted exceptionally well. The characters react to situations like you or I would. Like, all the characters, they adjust their perceptions based off of new evidence. Maybe not exactly at the drop of a hat, but they do come around eventually. And, oh, there is no painful, sad part of this movie. The plot is in constant motion because it has always been like some sort of cornerstone of a movie that some huge misunderstanding or setback happens and the movie bogs itself down for like 5 to 10 minutes, or even for a good long chunk of it, just having the characters mope around or get themselves in a bad situation because of these bad moments. But in Frozen, there is no sad moment. In fact, what would normally be a sad moment is turned into a great moment of freedom, because Elsa, her plot thread is that in order to become the queen of the kingdom, she has to hide herself away, both in terms of her powers and in terms of, her emotions, mostly as an extension of keeping her powers away. But once Elsa gets away, she is just the happiest that she has ever been, and that gives way to quite possibly one of the best Disney songs I have ever heard. I mean, this probably could join up with Make a Man Out of You as one of the most impactful Disney songs I have ever heard, and that is the Let It Go song. Just in context, and just hearing it, you could feel the passion behind it. And I think that Elsa might be one of the most significant Disney characters in recent history just because of how relatable she is. I think now is about time I can go into spoilers. So, let me check the timestamp here. 1950. That's more of a note to myself. Or 20 minutes even. At 20 minutes even, I'm just going to put a link in the description to tell you, hey, go to 20 minutes even. Anyways, now we have gone into spoiler territory, so if you don't want if you don't want the movie spoiled for you past this point, stop the video or go someplace later. I guess I'll get the timestamp for when I stop talking about spoilers. Alright, let's go into it. During the course of the movie, Anna encounters Elsa. Elsa is resisting Anna's attempts to talk her down, and not in a sort of, leave me alone, I have closed myself off to humanity, humanity is wicked. No, Elsa continues to go from the angle of, I am a danger to everyone else because I cannot control these powers. And just to compound it, during a particular fit of fury, Elsa's powers flare up, and she hits Anna in the heart, and having a frozen over heart is fatal. So, what happens after that? Oh yes, Elsa just after causing a wound to Anna, Elsa just says, "Okay, I've had enough," summons a big snow golem, and just kicks everyone out of the castle. Meanwhile, all the monarchs who are stranded in the kingdom, they assemble a team to hunt down Elsa, and Elsa's powers flare up again. She kind of knocks herself out because of all of the powers going crazy, and we sort of got this thing where Anna is now, she has a limited time to go, and the only way to save her is with an act of true love. And I have completely skipped over this character, mainly because of how non-spectacular he's been up to this point. At the beginning of the movie, Anna meets a prince, Hans, and immediately falls in love with him. And Hans, he is a pretty cool, understanding character, otherwise a completely generic Prince Charming. So when the trolls, they bring Anna to the trolls. The trolls tell Anna an act of true love will thaw her heart out. I have my window open, and I have no idea if all this noise coming from outside is getting into the camera. I'll close the window right here. Fantastic. So naturally, everyone assumes, oh, let's bring Anna to Hans. Hans will kiss her, and there you go. Problem solved. Oh, I love mint. I love mint chocolate anything. You don't know. Alright, so, yeah, at the end of the movie, they bring Anna back to Hans. Kristoff, who is the secondary love interest, okay, I take that back. It's, Kristoff just automatically assumes that Anna's gonna be alright from then on, and sulks his way out, but it does not take very long for Kristoff's moose companion to sort of shove Kristoff in the right way and just bump him back in. So there is kind of that sad, draggy moment, but you don't actually see it because the plot is still going. Meanwhile, let me get my notes. I have notes displayed all over here. Maybe in future videos I won't have so much meta discourse, but in the meanwhile it will just do me well to get used to casting all this way. Hey, can you guys hear it when I talk into my cup and it gets this little echo effect going? Oh well. So, Elsa is trapped in the dungeon. Anna is with Hans, and so Anna tells Hans, "I have a frozen heart. Kiss me, show me an act of true love, and fix this." So they play it up. Hans goes in to kiss Anna. Then he stops and says, "If only there was someone who loved you." And at this point, I actually jumped. I was not expecting this. I was expecting Hans to kiss her and nothing to happen, because it's obvious that she's going to end up with Kristoff in the end. But, I mean, I'm just like, what? So Hans goes into it, saying that his plan all along was to stage a coup of the kingdom of Anna's kingdom. And at this point, I'm just like, whoa, what is this? I mean, I knew that Hans was not going to be the Prince Charming, the end love interest of this story, but for him to become the last-minute villain, it's crazy. So Hans, without even attempting to thaw Anna's heart, just walks out and just is going to tell all the other monarchs, "Anna has died, and I am the de facto leader now." And it's just, oh my goodness. It actually was a surprise to me. I mean, maybe to other people it wasn't, but to me it was. And then Kristoff he's running back, and at this point, okay, let me tell things in order. Elsa is in the dungeon. She breaks out of the dungeon using her powers, I think it was after she... No. Elsa breaks out of the dungeon. She's just trying to get away, and her powers are just going out of control. She's creating this humongous blizzard and just stumbling through it. Meanwhile, Kristoff is finding his way back to Anna, and Hans, I think he wanted to go and brief and just, I don't know. I think Hans learned that Elsa escaped and he wanted to get her back or something. Either way, Elsa, Kristoff, and Hans are out in the blizzard. And Olaf, oh bless this character, Olaf completely saves the day by finding Anna, helping her in her time of need, and giving some much-needed words of wisdom. That's right. The comic relief mascot character was the one who gives the words of wisdom to Anna. He looks out the window, sees Kristoff coming back, and says, "Look, it's Kristoff. He's come back for you." So Anna and Olaf said, "This is it. This is the act of true love that will save me." So Olaf helps get Anna outside, and now Anna is coming out into the blizzard to meet Kristoff. Let's see here. So Kristoff meets Elsa in the blizzard. Oh man, I am giving way too much exposition here. I wanted to try to not give too much plot away, but anyways, Kristoff meets Elsa in the blizzard, tells Elsa that it's too late, Anna has already frozen over, and that sort of dispels the blizzard. And then, as Elsa is, of course she's distraught, Hans raises his sword to strike Elsa down, thereby cementing his position as the only possible person to lead the kingdom. Anna throws herself in front of Elsa, and mind you, she is out there in the blizzard. She looks over, she sees Kristoff, and then she sees Hans, who she knows is evil, about to attack Elsa, and Anna makes a split-second decision to jump in front of Elsa, hold her hand out, and in that very exact moment, the frozen heart takes over, she completely freezes over, and Hans's sword hits Anna's frozen body and breaks, saving Elsa's life. And of course, we realize that Anna must be dead because she's completely frozen over. And in the exact moment after that, Anna begins thawing out, and then we realize this was it. That was the act of love, and my mind is just blown at this point because they actually did it. They completely turned the act of love completely on its head. I really didn't want to tell the entire story, but oh well, I am learning. So, the act of love was not done to Anna, it was done by Anna, and it wasn't an act of, falling in love. It was an act of sisterly love, which, in these sorts of movies you don't think of as quote-unquote an act of love. So that just impressed me, because an act of love has been a movie convention for as long as possible. And I can imagine that whoever came up with the concept of an act of love has just been waiting, in heaven I suppose, for people to really do something creative with that concept. And then, there you go. Comparatively, this is really creative. And I realized that all of the expected roles in this movie, they have not been reversed. There has been a complete role do-si-do. So, the Prince Charming is the villain, the expected villain has become the damsel, and the damsel has become the hero, because in the end, it was Anna who saved the day by just completely disregarding her own life to save Anna, and the expected hero, Kristoff, he's more of a side character, actually. In the long run, Kristoff didn't really do much, but I suppose he did play his role by getting Anna out of that room and down onto the ice to find Elsa and save her. So, Kristoff is the girlfriend, essentially. I mean, not to say that being a girl makes you inherently inferior or, less relevant to the plot, but just typically speaking in movie roles, yeah, Kristoff is the love interest, and he didn't really do much. Aside from his role as the love interest, his role could have been filled by convenient plot points or something. That is another interesting thing, that, the guy who you would think is the hero actually was not as big to the plot, the core elements of the plot, as you might think. And Hans wasn't really that much of a villain, but just with what little time he had in the movie as the villain was enough so that when he got his comeuppance, it was really satisfying. There is one thing that kind of bugged, well, at least my brother, and that's when all was said and done, people really turned on Hans really quickly, and that was before anyone could have known that he was actually evil the entire time. And it feels like that there's a missing scene in there, because at the end of the movie, Anna punches Hans in the face, and all the monarchs are watching on, and they start laughing like, oh yeah, he got his comeuppance. And it was a little too early to tell, but the blizzard was dispelled, so they probably could have seen Hans try to kill Elsa, and then after seeing Anna run out there completely alive, just goes to show that Hans lied about it. So they probably thought about things and came to the conclusion that Hans was evil. Other than that, this movie was just really tightly wrapped up. And that is just how I feel about Frozen. It is just a really good movie that does a lot of interesting things, plays with your expectations, and just is really the evolution of the Disney storytelling method because of all the comparatively creative things. And, Disney has been looking to push the envelope with their storytelling, and this is the closest they've gotten. And who knows if they allow other movies to follow this sort of playing with expectations, daring to think outside the box mentality, then maybe they can work their way into creating truly different sorts of stories. So, yeah, that is the one thing I've been passionate about, and I realize that this is an imperfect cast, because I really wanted to talk about the movie in general terms, and not go into so much detail about what happens in the story, and I probably am forgetting a ton of other great things about this movie, but oh well. I hit record, I said my piece, I have fulfilled my horoscope. So, yeah, if you have not seen Frozen, I very much encourage you to do so, and I hope I don't ruin it for you by pointing out all of these things. But it really is an awesome movie that deserves every bit of acclaim. I mean, it lives up to the hype that Brave had leading up to that movie's release. That is no exaggeration. And I'm not exactly sure how to end this cast, so who knows? I don't really have planned what I'm going to talk about for the next cast. I guess just next time I'll hit record and see what happens. And so next time on the cast, whatever I'm going to be saying, I'm going to hit record and see what I want to talk about. Until then, game out.